NFL Inside Blitz week number 11. I'm here with Ron from Ron Sports and Ted Sobel from Ted Sobel Sports. How are you guys doing?
Good, sir. Let's have a great week 11. I do have a question for everybody. Am I the only one who thought that week 10 was sort of a microcosm of too much of this season? Incredible games, fantastic finishes, and way too much bad football. I mean, really bad. What do you think?
I don't think it was bad football unless you isolate a few games and a few teams. Monday night was extremely sloppy, but a lot of the football, other than special teams play, which was horrendous, a lot of the play is, we shouldn't have lofty expectations that the offense is always going to win against the defense.
No, I don't know about that. I'm not even thinking that as much as sloppy is a great word. I thought almost every game I watched was sloppy. A lot of really bad plays, bad calls, bad red zones. Even Jared Goff threw 5 picks, and they weren't all his fault. But he wasn't sharp either. He was throwing the ball in the dirt behind guys. He looked like a rookie again, the way he looked at when we said, I don't know if this guy's a first-round pick for any team. So I'm just disappointed in the play. And if you didn't see it the same way I did, whatever.
I didn't. And when you're talking about Houston, you're talking about a team that forced Goff to do something that he doesn't do most other games. Let's give credit to Houston's defense.
Oh, absolutely. And it's nothing against Houston, but I thought Houston played a ridiculous second half and gave the game away. I thought it was awful. They were fantastic in the first half. Now, I don't expect them to play, a full perfect game against an outstanding team like Detroit, but they totally changed in the second half, and they were sloppier than hell. Minnesota over 400 yards, 3 picks, no TDs. I don't know, just really bad stuff, I thought. Anyway, let's talk about the bye week, guys, and how the byes are fitting into the schedules at this time of the year. Because, now that we're past the halfway point, it's affecting some teams more than others. This week you got Arizona, Carolina, the Giants, and Tampa Bay. How do you see the bye fitting? Let's say, for example, Arizona, who, I don't know if there is a good time for a bye, right? They would just want to play, right?
Relatively healthy. I think this is an awful time for a bye for them.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's necessarily going to cause their season to implode, but they were in such a rhythm, and they're relatively healthy. If you look at maybe the 5 healthiest teams, Arizona's probably one of them.
Right. And Green Bay and Seattle are coming back off of byes this week. So the question is, how did that fit into their lives and to wrap up the second half of the season?
Well, I think, for Seattle's purposes, you had the first-year head coach that gets his first bye, and the team was kind of unraveling. It had its injury issues, and it gives them a chance to push the reset button. They needed the bye, so it'll be interesting to see whether we see the unraveled Seattle or the Seattle that was more impressive at the start of the season.
Yeah, no problems with either team having this bye. Exactly what Chris said for Seattle, and for Green Bay, another chance for Jordan Love to get a little bit more healthy down the stretch.
Yeah, Jordan. I had a Lakers game sighting for him. He on the off week. He was there with his girlfriend, so came back to SoCal for at least a few days. How about tonight's game, guys? Week number 11 is underway. Washington at Philly. The Eagles, what is it, about 3.5 still?
Up to 4.
It's up to 4. Okay. Well, it's the Saquon show on the line tonight in his old divisional matchup as like he used to have with the Giants. Let's hear from Dan Quinn talking about facing Saquon Barkley again, who, by the way, he is 7-0 against lifetime as a head coach and an assistant. You can't get any better than that.
Here we go.
Yeah, he's an incredible player. I think the combination, where he can take somebody's leverage and try to work outside because he has the speed to go and then the ability to spin or to change leverage. And so that, to me, is a factor in itself, the ability to start and stop, with that explosive nature that he has and try to break somebody's leverage. So the tackling, the angles, you want to make sure that point is really hammered home over and over. So that, he's an incredible player, great hands, the run game, the pass game. So when you see him in the Giants doing similar things and now doing similar things here, that transfers.
And how do you prepare this defensive front to go up against him?
The front-wise, it's challenging because of his ability to jump cut, and you may be in the right gap where you think you're supposed to be, and he's got such quickness to accelerate out of that cut. So you don't want a lot of one-man tackles, on a ball player of his ability where he can change and spin and use things. He's also an effective player out of the backfield, on screens, on swings. He can, catch routes that are down the field that sometimes don't go to the running backs, but in his case they can. So he's an exceptional player, one that we love competing against, but he really has unique skills, like a lot of guys do. Might be a receiver some weeks, or tight end this week, a quarterback. And so it is kind of a cool part of the NFL. They've got a number of guys that will test you and push you to the limit, and that's what makes playing in this, like I said, this division against this team a lot of fun.
All right, so that's head coach Dan Quinn of the Commanders, and Washington's got some issues tonight. They still don't have Lattimore. He's not ready to play yet. They got a banged-up O-line. Their kicker is out. And rookie quarterbacks, and I don't know anybody who doesn't love what Jaden Daniels is doing. They've lost 9 straight to Philadelphia. So what do you guys think of that matchup tonight?
They've lost 9 straight to them?
Rookie quarterbacks have lost 9 straight.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, what do you think?
Chris can go first.
Oh, I was kind of surprised to see the 4 this morning, but not surprised. I was having contact with somebody last night, and I told them that I think this Philadelphia's got legitimate support. When you see a line, that was 3.5, and then it goes down to 3, and doesn't shoot up to 3.5, but gradually goes up, then that's a sign of solid support. It's not just one group moving the line. And now that we're up to 4, Philadelphia's got a hell of a lot of support for a divisional game.
Yeah.
The rookie quarterback on the road, hostile environment, short week. I believe that that's why the line is elevated. Curious whether you think it's elevated too much, Ron.
I'll take a different view of that. I thought the line was short to begin with. According to my power ratings, the line should be closer to 5 than to 3.5. So I'm treating it, and we all look at lines and line movement, and we all read it. There's no necessarily right way or wrong way, but we're all kind of implying some of our own thoughts on this. And the brainstorming combination is what's important to me. So on my side, I thought the line should be higher. The line opened lower. That kind of told me that the books would prefer people to take Philly because they're giving the line a little bit short on Washington. Does my matchup analysis support me also liking Washington? So if I like Washington, I was going to wait anyway till at least it reached 4, because I would not feel comfortable with 3.5. And so now that it's 4, and it might even tick to 4.5 the way it's trending, my matchup analysis slightly favors Washington in this game. So that would be my look.
I think this is the ultimate test so far for Daniels. If he wins this game tonight, he has really put himself in a special situation for me.
Yeah, I like to add one thing. It's rare to see coaches with this late of a bye, and they haven't had a bye, doing so well. I mean, Washington with that whole culture thing, everything's just going fantastic for them, save for the fact that they made one offsides mistake at the end of the Pittsburgh game that cost them one of their few mistakes in the whole year. And at some point, Washington's going to actually benefit from first this mini bye and then the late bye. So what they're doing has been fantastic. If they do steal a win against Philly, it really changes the divisional complexion.
Do you think Cliff Kingsbury's history of folding in the second half of the season is anything that could transpire to this Washington situation?
Not as an assistant coach, he hasn't yet. So
Yeah, I would agree with Ted on that.
yeah, he doesn't have enough power to screw it up anymore. It's just a good relationship he has with Daniels, and it's growing. So I mean, it's all positive out of there. So Ron, are you just going to wait till the last minute? If it jump, you're just going to get the best value. You're going to have a little something on Washington tonight.
Yeah, I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to go down below 4. What do you think, Chris?
I'm going to answer Russell's question of whether buying into a 4.5 is worth 8 cents. And no, it is not.
No. It's worth about half that, probably 4 cents.
Yeah, it's not close. What was your question, Ron?
I don't think it's going back down to
3.5?
3.5. I think you could probably search around books and maybe find a 115 at 4.5 right now. Maybe you find a 110 at 4.5. Just takes one book to get there.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'll be interested to see where this line goes because there's places leaning 3.5. There's places leaning 4.5.
Did you take Philly early though, Chris?
I've got both sides of this game because I had to do something with teasers on Monday. So it looked like I was going to be on Philly. So I went Philadelphia's direction. So I had plus 7.5. But when the model was processed, somehow was not going to be on Philly. So
okay.
By the way, rooting for a close game.
Yeah, it should be a good game, I think. And I apologize to both of you for not introducing you at the start of the show as Mr. Middle and Mr. Teaser Parlay. Mm-hmm. So that was Alpha last weekend, right, guys?
Did get a middle in that Minnesota game last week. Had 3 legitimate shots at the middle. It was like, Ted, we were back in the 1990s when you actually had some middle shots.
Yes,
but
and
only one of them came through.
And it was thank you August plays, right?
Well, the August play opened up like a 7-point middle, but then the San Francisco line went back and forth, and that could have landed on 6. And the Minnesota line catching it while the news came out on Trevor Lawrence and having the 4 and the soft 7. That's the one that was the least likely to work out, and that's the one that got the middle.
Got it. All right, let's go on to Sunday. The Packers at the Bears, old school football. I expect George Halas to be on the sideline somewhere. At least his ghost will be there. Jordan Love no longer limited in practice with his groin injury. Packers allowing the fewest sacks in the league, so that's important to him. Of course, the Packers, and mostly around Aaron Rodgers in his youth, just unbelievably successful at Soldier Field, 14-2 over the last 15 years. But the Bears have fired their OC. So how does that affect them, guys?
It's same old offense still.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not much, I don't think. I did notice a comparison chart between Bryce, what's his name, and Caleb.
Bryce Young.
And the stats through this many games are almost identical for both of them.
Wow. That's not good. Whatever happened to the first overall pick?
Yeah.
Anyway,
well,
what are you going to do?
Part of it, Green Bay's coaching staff is a bit underrated, I think. They don't get talked about as enough. And the Bears season is on the line right now. It may have been on the line last week, and it may be too late. If you look at the over-under season win total, you wouldn't believe their number. It's 6.5, and it's heavily slanted to the under. So
you can't find
the people who put out the lines feel like the Bears are done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we know the Bears have circled this game on their calendar. Well, every year they circle it because they can't seem to get out from the ownership of the Green Bay Packers. But the problem is they limp into this game right now, and it's not as meaningful as they would have hoped.
Yeah, my biggest thing about them, the thought of them being done, is when you have a rookie like Caleb Williams, who potentially is still going to get better and better and better, he's not going to be done. I mean, he's coming on. He's trying to improve every week. Now the question is, does the new OC situation help him out or not? Who the hell knows? Yeah. But again, he's not going to quit. He's a rookie quarterback. He wants to prove himself. So we'll see how that goes. Montez Sweat ankle. Any idea on that at all? He didn't practice yesterday.
When was the last time he played?
I don't know. They said they thought he might play this week, so I don't know.
Yeah, Friday's report will tell us.
Okay. All right. Quick thought, Ron, as well on the Packers' new, no longer that new, defensive coordinator who you had major doubts about when they brought him in at the beginning of the year. We had a nice chat about that, saying, hey, wasn't that great in college? So, yeah. But he wasn't a DC either. So what do you think?
Might be a chemistry thing where the players relate to him more than they did in terms of the previous defensive coordinator. As far as the stat sheet, it's a little bit better against the run than usual. It's still about the same against the pass. The number of defensive sacks is on par. I think they're not getting gashed as much. And I think one or two people have pointed out that they're not getting gashed as much by the running quarterbacks like they used to year in and year out. So there's some improvement, but I don't think it's massive improvement.
Okay. All right, let's go Baltimore at Pittsburgh. Another classic old school matchup here. Russell Wilson averaging 10 points a game better than the guy he replaced. I didn't see this coming. Did you see any of this coming at all?
Well, Russell stretches the field more, throws a better lofted ball, trusts his read a little too much because he gets sacked. But so did, both of these guys hold on to the ball a lot longer. But Russell Wilson is willing to throw to George Pickens more than Justin Fields was. And Pickens, like I've said, the 50-50 ball becomes 70-30 when you throw it to him.
Well, let's forget Pickens for 5 seconds. And the throw to Mike Williams, the late, great Mike Williams, is one of the great throws of the season. He was off balance. He threw it in the air. And as I've been saying forever, if I got Mike Williams and I need a first down or I need I'm throwing it in the air. If that guy's healthy enough to get 2 inches off the ground, he's going to beat almost every DB.
I know
they complement each other.
I know they commented that Williams came to camp with the largest smile possible just because he was getting away from Rodgers.
Well, nobody blamed anything on Mike Williams this week, but that was just a beautiful play.
Yeah. You're right. The quarterback wide receiver relationship, that's a good match because Russell Wilson doesn't throw those timing routes in quarterbacks. He throws, you don't have to run that exact Aaron Rodgers 10-yard out or the Tom Brady 10-yard out. He just has to go up and get the ball when it's in the air. These guys like Michael Crabtree in the past, Antoine Bolden in the past, these guys fight for the ball.
Yep. So is Najee Harris healthy? Do we know? For this game, he's got an ankle thing, and he didn't practice earlier.
I don't know.
Okay, because obviously that's a key thing there. By the way, perfect fourth quarter passer rating for Russell Wilson since he's come back. I mean, that's good stuff. I didn't see any of this coming. As far as the spread goes, is it a solid 3?
There's some very weak 3.5s or strong 3s.
Okay. So what do you guys think?
I think it's going to be a great game to watch.
Okay.
Yeah, it's best rivalry in football. Coaches have coached against each other 35 times. If you win with the favorite in this series, you just got lucky or whatever. You should never be betting the favorite in this series.
Right.
A team of this caliber playing in a non-primetime situation, early start. You think that changes the game at all? I mean, what's different about how this game is going to be played in daylight early versus if it was a Sunday night or Monday night?
So I'm thinking about it as you say that. I don't have the answer to that off the top of my head. I don't know that because these two teams know each other so well and they play such a style of ball that's so physical when they play each other. I'm not sure if you matched them up at 3 a.m, it would be any different than anything else.
So do we have any plays this week? So you're totally off this game. Even the OU, I mean, in the past, I would have thought, what is it, around 48 or 49?
Yeah, it's higher than usual for this series, that's for sure.
And I'm thinking under because of that.
I'm not touching that. Not the way Baltimore is playing offensively and the way Baltimore might play defensively in the fourth quarter.
Okay.
I'm trusting the line and the odds maker on that.
The problem is Baltimore has no defense. So
yeah.
And Russell has been, pretty successful. Pittsburgh, how many did they score last week? Did they hit the 30s? I forget.
Baltimore 35, I
Pittsburgh.
think.
Yeah, okay.
Pittsburgh 28-27.
Yeah, so I'll bet you the play. I would think the play is actually the over.
Okay, I'm only thinking out loud of their old school, defensive style. Keep it conservative, and you end up a 3-point game somewhere in there.
Yeah, I would agree with Chris. Todd Monken in year 2, they're going to try some things against Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh's opened up the offense a little bit more under Russell Wilson, like we discussed. So if anything, the line is there, unusual in the series, but it's there for a reason.
Okay. Let's head to the best coast, Seattle at San Francisco. Brock Purdy 5-0 against the Seahawks in his career. Not too bad there. Good to see McCaffrey is back, look healthy. They didn't overuse him too much. I think he had 13 carries in the last game and a handful of catches as usual. Your thoughts on his return?
Well, the difference in San Francisco when he's on the field, a little bit elevated blocking because he's a good blocker. And unlike the other backs that they have, he is a threat when he has the ball in his hands in the pass game. There's no real difference in the run game, but there's a tremendous difference as to how he could be used in the pass game. And the more he gets his touches, that's when San Francisco is going to be in sync. There was a comment in the chat about why hasn't the line hit 7 or crossed 7. It's because we're still waiting on San Francisco to fire on all cylinders. Yep. They could have lost that game to Tampa.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that's showing a lack of confidence in San Francisco still at this point in the marketplace.
It should be.
Because I agree with it 100% because I think there's a lot of people that would jump all over the +7. So.
Yeah, but the issue with Seattle is, and we've talked about it almost every week, we have no idea what team's going to show up week to week with them. So they're still a work in progress, good or bad.
I mean, it's still work in progress all year for them. But the good news again is new coach. They come off the bye. Yep. They've had a chance to reevaluate. They even cut a player or two during that time period. So they've looked at the tape. They can make some adjustments. This is when the coaching staff starts to earn their money.
Yep.
They cut 2 starters, right?
They cut one on the offensive line, started, I think, every game. And I don't know. I think they cut somebody defensively too. I don't remember if he was a starter, but you're right.
Yeah. My question is, does the San Francisco defense tighten up a little bit against Seattle?
Depends on what Geno Smith you get, because he's capable of making this, it's the kind of game I feel that Seattle could keep really, really close, but find a way to lose in the end.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I'm trying to think and trying to reconcile a first-year head coach dumping their best tackler off the bye week looking behind, reading between the lines on that, it kind of seems to indicate, something a foul. If he felt the need to do that, and it's odd on the optics wise.
Yeah, but is it their first-year head coach or their GM who's just saying we need to make some changes here, and the bye week was perfect timing?
Yeah, he made a lot of tackles, but that doesn't mean he was good in coverage. And maybe they were looking for something more. Their linebacker, they had a guy go on IR at the end of the year. They traded a linebacker very early in the year because they had this guy in waiting, and then he was lost for the year. So linebacker is an issue with Seattle in 2024.
Yeah. All right. Anything else on that, Chris?
No, I came out right on the number here, so I'm kind of glad I have to sit this one out.
Good.
Me too. Right on the number.
Okay.
Thank goodness, because honestly, I could see Seattle coming out rejuvenated and playing well and coming away with a victory. I can see them getting their doors blown off in San Francisco after their break-in game versus Tampa last week. They get their act together this week and just beat the snot out of them.
Yeah. By the way, before we get to the game of the week that's up in lights in Vegas, I'm wondering, you guys have any early plays from before the season that fits into week number 11 at all? That we can look
Actually, I
at?
have no plays this week from early. I have a ton coming up, but nothing this week.
Okay, I always get a kick out of that because love to see the line changes there. Talk about major value you could jump on late, baby.
Yeah, that didn't work last week. It was working all year, and last week it didn't. But you and I, we know how that goes sometimes.
You got to go value, and then whatever happens, happens. You can't control that. Anyway, let's go. Game of the week. Kansas City at Buffalo. The Bills 4-0 at home, but they got some banged up receivers going into this game. Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, Amari Cooper limited in practice. I have no idea what the status is on him. I assume he will play. Hate wrist injuries, though, for receivers. That's for sure. Your thoughts on the matchups thus far?
Well, I'm looking at the injury indexes, and it's mostly green on both sides.
Okay,
I think most of the guys you mentioned are going to play.
Yeah, the question is how healthy are they, though? That's the issue. We're talking. At the beginning of the year, we were saying, okay, what kind of guys does Josh Allen have to throw to? And now it's like, hey, you know what? They're pretty good. And the other thing that I mentioned last week, he doesn't have to look around. I got to get it to Stephon Diggs. That's a long throw to Houston now, so he doesn't have to worry about that anymore.
Cooper hasn't played the last 2 weeks, I believe. So if he's limited, that's a sign in the right direction.
Yeah, but again, it's a wrist injury, so who knows?
Yeah, and Kincaid, Kincaid's an interesting case study because they use him on a lot of short stuff.
Yeah.
The former starter, Dawson Knox, not as reliable in terms of number of catches, but he can go a little bit deeper. I believe he's from Mississippi, and he did some good stuff in the Mississippi offense. So it's not as much of a drop-off as you think when Dawson Knox is in the lineup.
Right. Well, I talked about the strange plays of last weekend, and we're gonna hear from the brothers, Travis and Jason Kelsey, on their New Heights podcast. They gave an absolutely fantastic F-bomb laden response to the winning block field goal against Denver. And this is really interesting. So learn some football as well on this response. Let's hear from these guys.
It was awesome to see a guy like Leo Chanel be the difference maker.
That's what I was about to say. We talk about teammates.
Man.
Like the way you've talked about him and the way it feels like all the Kansas City Chiefs talk about this guy, like he is the ultimate teammate. He does so many things. You guys will put him at fullback. He plays D-line. He plays linebacker. He does all these things for the Chiefs. And on top of that, he blocks kicks to win games.
Ain't that the truth?
So 54 is that position is called tight end on field goal. And I'm just letting you know this right now, people. It is the worst position.
It is arguably the hardest position on any special teams unit. This guy is being taught to stab the guy that is in the gap inside of him.
Yep.
Stab the guy that is in the gap outside of him, inside of him and outside of him. And then on top of that, take a fucking guy right down the center.
NFL player.
An NFL
you're not
player.
even allowed to touch him with your hands.
You're just here and they tell you to die slow. That is literally the coaching on it is like,
we
listen,
know you're gonna get your ass
You're
kicked.
gonna get your ass beat. All right. We put our toughest guy in there. We just need you to be stout for 2 seconds or however long it takes for them to snap the ball and kick it. Like, we just need you to have that like 2-second like strain to finish. And that's why they say die slow, because you typically end up on your ass every fucking time.
Every time they put this kind of rush where there's 3 guys over top of you, you are going 3 people pushing on you, you're going to fall. Just don't fall too fast, essentially.
Yeah.
And he fell lickety split. I'm not gonna lie. This was.
He got
I don't
caught
even
on
like.
his
You look
heels,
at where
man.
his butt is. You gotta get your butt up a little bit more than that. You know.
Well, we need more flat back. We need more flat
exactly.
back.
We're not worried about our head being down or anything. You got to get your job done. But
we got to bring Newton's law into this thing and start breaking out the protractor.
We used to say this guy used to be. We used to say he's the most unselfish player on the team. Before, when there was a kickoff return and a wedge unit.
Oh yeah,
wedge unit and this guy. But now that there's no more wedge unit, this guy takes the cake. You're gonna get killed.
He gets the award.
Okay, how great is that? And we're talking about a position that nobody ever talks about, yet these guys described it beautifully, how it is the hardest spot on a special team situation, and I love it. What do you think, guys?
Well, Leo Chanel's a good player. He came, I believe, out of Wisconsin, and he did a lot of things there. And he was one of those guys you just cannot keep off the football field.
I think it's interesting to hear it from their perspective that, who's the sacrificial lamb on a play like that, because it's stuff that we don't think about.
Yep, exactly. But that's one of the plays of the year, and to stay perfect, with a perfect record, it's just on that play. Again, I don't know what the Chiefs are doing, but they need to keep doing it. They figure out a way to win. In the meantime, now they face Josh Allen, and these same 2 brothers had thoughts on him. Let's hear it.
They are rolling right now. Bills are looking good. Josh Allen.
He is playing fucking lights out right now.
He's got his best touchdown to interception ratio in his whole career. Joe Brady is really taking the offense to another level. It feels like.
I think Josh is taking it up another level too.
Himself.
I think he's doing an unbelievable job of taking care of the ball, mixing in when he's going to fucking be the bulldozer that he is, and then mixing up when he wants to run around guys. He's playing great football. And, when you get a juggernaut like him on the offensive side, you got to fucking put up points, man. So now more than ever, are we going to need to fucking score touchdowns?
Yes.
And I'm going to be locked in this week to try and make sure I'm accountable for my guys.
Oh, can't wait to watch this one.
Yep, should be a lot of fun, no doubt about that. But I think Travis doesn't like to hold back too much. He
locked in. That's the key word. I think the players on both teams are going to be locked in.
Kansas City just been an unbelievable team in the fourth quarter, though, this year. They really have. I mean, as good as any team ever. And yet the rest of the games, they're just another team sometimes,
So, Chris, I think we talked about this on Tuesday a little bit, but in your power numbers, where's KC?
They're not very high.
Yeah, I think I have them higher than you, and at 9-0, they're tied 4th for me.
Oh yeah, they don't sniff 4th for me.
Okay. Not surprising.
It's amazing, huh? 9-0, but they're not one of the top 3.
Yeah, so how big is this game for both teams in your minds? Much bigger for Buffalo, or not even?
No, I don't think
it's great to win the division.
Let me comment first. I honestly don't think it's a big game. I don't think it has the same meaning because I think Josh says, you have it in the interview. It's about the playoffs, and Buffalo's situated fine, the top of their division. Kansas City's situated fine. There is no urgency. You do have the rivalry, but I just don't feel like there's the same intensity on this game at all.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. To me, it's simply a marquee matchup, and it doesn't even mean much to Josh Allen. Let him tell you. You don't need to hear it from me. You got Josh?
Yeah, hold on. What do you think I am, an octopus here?
It's a Week 11 game. It's no bigger and no less than the last 10 games that we've had, and that's I know the media perception and the fan perception and what this game means, but for us, it's just Week 11 for us.
Stands out about Steve Spagnuolo's defensive style, and is this a harder week for you, pass protection-wise, preparation?
Yeah, I mean, I think they do a great job of switching the looks that they're giving. Obviously, we know about Chris Jones. He's a game wrecker, one of the best, if not the best, interior D linemen in the game right now. You pair that up with some of their DBs and linebackers. They're flying all over the field. They got guys that are really gap sound in the run game as well. So, again, we're going to have our hands full. It's a very good unit that we're about to face, and we're just, again, just trying to have a good week of practice and go out there and execute on Sunday.
Just another Week 11 game. What are you going to do, right, guys? So, by the way, a couple of interesting stats. Mahomes, 5 touchdowns and no giveaways in the fourth quarter. And but he's 1-3 against Josh Allen. So which one's going to give?
Well, I think there's something off with him. And, I mean, yeah, I don't know what it is. I have this vision of this game being entirely different than the typical game that these guys play. I have a funny feeling that this is like a feel you out game. They don't want to show stuff to the other team. I don't think that either team's going to be desperate to win the game. So we know that Kansas City plays all these one-score games. Buffalo had played 40-plus consecutive games within teaser range. And it's, for some reason, I just think this game might even be out of teaser range. Even though I already have both sides, I have a feeling I'm wasting my chance. Somehow one of the teams, gets farther behind than a one score. And they don't care. I mean, they care, but they're not going to break their ass to win the game.
Right.
It's probably not going to change the fact that Kansas City is going to get a first-round bye.
Right.
And Buffalo is going to, win or lose, going to have to prove themselves again in the playoffs. And it looks like both of these teams are well underway to winning their own divisions.
Yep. Anyway, we got a flex game, and I'm going to that one. The Chargers at home to the Bengals. I'm interested to see how Burrow comes back in this game. What do you have? Was it 5 touchdown passes and a loss the last one?
And 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions for Goff, and he loses.
Yep.
I mean, he wins.
Right. Burrow 7-2 with a 17-1 pass TD to interception ratio against top 5 scoring defenses. So he's up against the top 1 scoring defense right now. They're just playing incredible ball. And, they haven't beaten great teams yet, but they're doing whatever it takes defensively and just really impressive so far. Chargers.
Yeah. I like this game because it's so intriguing, because what Cincinnati does best is what the Chargers are a little bit vulnerable to, and that's Cincinnati stretching the field and passing, because you're not going to run consistently on the Chargers because of Harbaugh and the tackling mentality they have. But Cincinnati is a different kind of team than the Chargers are going to face. But then you flip it to the other side, in my opinion, and Cincinnati doesn't want to play that kind of smash mouth game that Harbaugh is going to give at you with Dobbins and now Gus Edwards healthy. So you got 2 teams that are going to do what they do best against the other team's perceived weakness. And I just think it's a fascinating matchup.
Yeah.
How do you see Cincinnati stopping the Chargers defensively?
It's not going to be easy, because I think the Chargers are going to win the offensive line versus defensive line matchup. And, you have this line that's consistently gone up. I mean, you're looking at Charger totals, and they've been under all year. And that's something I talked about in the offseason. When I put those slides together, Matt Landis was with me on the show. When we were talking Chargers, I said, bet the unders in their games. This is not one of those games. This is a completely different matchup. So
doesn't it depend on who gets out in front, though? Is it, if the Chargers are, leading the game, they're going to grind it, aren't they?
Yeah, they're going to grind it. They're going to force Cincinnati to get in the box. And Herbert has enough ability. I mean, he's not your run-of-the-mill second or third-year quarterback that can't play action pass and hit somebody deep against a Cincinnati defense that's not outstanding by any means. And the same token, if Cincinnati is behind, they still have Joe Burrow, trying to stretch the field with Chase and others. And I think they'll have some success that way as well. Basically, what you're hearing from me is this is a watch game from me, because I'm just fascinated by it with absolutely, in my opinion and my metrics, no edge whatsoever.
Yeah. I think, though, the big question with the Chargers continues to be, and will be the rest of the year, I believe, is that they just don't finish drives consistently. And so you don't know how many points they could put up to go up against that great defense that they're keeping the other team down. But Herbert's been phenomenal this year, but not finishing the drive. And they need to do better there.
The Chargers are actually the number one gaining team offensively in the league over the last 5 weeks in my model.
Gaining team?
And Cincinnati is the fourth worst losing team defensively over the last 5 weeks.
Okay.
So those two kind of bump into each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So it looks like no plays for both of you in that game. I'm hoping to run into Joe Burrow in the game. You guys have any assignment for me post?
Oh, I like the Chargers in this game.
Or you're just going to lay the 1.5? 1.5 still?
1.5, I think. Yeah. So Chris has an opinion on this game. I don't. The thing of it is, I had an opinion the last 3 or 4 weeks on the Chargers. You guys have heard me mention how my line has been so much higher on the Chargers than others. I think this week the line is finally caught up. I thought I had an edge faster than others. People didn't realize the Chargers were, according to others, winning ugly. They were just winning the Harbaugh way.
Well, I've been on the Chargers. You weren't ahead of anything. I was on the Chargers for the last 3 games, I believe.
Yeah. Well, then you and I were ahead of the curve because the line was too low in all 3 of those games. They were a power rating play 3 weeks in a row.
You know what? I think you got another week. I think you still have value this week on them. I don't think.
I just can't do it because this is a different kind of matchup and a different kind of quarterback. This is Joe Burrow. This isn't Will Levis or whoever else they've been playing.
Well,
Sorry, Will.
It's entirely different style of play that both teams have faced, frankly.
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating game.
Okay. On a personal note, John Robinson, the former Rams and USC head coach, died this week at age 89. The last time I spoke to John, I had him on a podcast about 5 years ago now. Whenever Joe Burrow wrapped up his career at LSU, because John was on the sidelines as a helper to the LSU coaching staff that year, and he became very close with Joe, and said he's the closest thing to Joe Montana I've ever seen. So I'm going to be interested to see if I can get a minute with Burrow sometime after this game on Sunday night and just say, hey, the last time I talked to John Robinson, boy, did he praise you big time. And to me, Joe Burrow has been he's been outstanding. He just, he's with a team that's cheap, and they're not going to put in the kind of teammates he needs. Is like the old line just keeps fluctuating all over the damn place.
They're trying. They have a small but very dedicated draft team that understands their deficiencies. Sometimes draft picks work out, sometimes they haven't. Cincinnati's been a really strong drafting team, but they've trended toward middle of the pack the last 2 years.
Right. But unfortunately, they made it to the Super Bowl a few years ago, and they're spiraling backwards. And that's not good because this is supposed to be the best part of Burrow's career. So we'll see if they can turn that around a little bit.
Ask Mahomes to change conferences and they have a shot.
Okay. Well, it's not just Mahomes. They're not playing so great in a lot of other games this year, too. Any other strong feelings on this week, guys? You want to touch on?
When you get the passes to go around the stadium there, can you get me in as your assistant?
No. I couldn't even get you parking. I could tell you it'd be $75 for you, though. I could probably get it down to 70.
I couldn't even get you parking. Is the opposite of you had me at a hello.
No, I get in, thank God, and it just makes my life a lot easier. But I'm not a lot on the field anymore, so that's no fun. But at least I get into the post-game stuff. That's all that matters. Do I have an assignment from you guys for this game besides talking to the winning coach or quarterback?
If you could get T. Higgins, I would be real curious. I don't think T. Higgins will be there next year because they've got to pay other players. T. Higgins isn't healthy enough to be there. It's going to be regarded, Cincinnati lost another big player. If I'm Cincinnati, I'm also trying to trade T. Higgins because he's not on the field enough. And if you're not healthy, you're not helping.
Right. The only issue with that is asking that question after a game. I'm probably not going to get much, specifically if he loses.
No, you're going to have to ask different kinds of questions to get at that kind of thing. How do you get yourself healthy? What can you do and stuff like that? How can you be an asset to this team?
Yeah.
You got to maneuver around.
I was going to say, what are the odds of Vegas that you're still here next year?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's going to answer that one.
I'll gleefully pay you if you get on audio, you asking Harbaugh, any truth to the rumor that you're going to be returning to the University of Michigan next year?
And you know what? I will guarantee you that my pass won't be there next week.
Yeah.
But thanks for the questions, guys.
I want to bring up something that just showed up in the chat on the other show that we did on BetUS yesterday's.
Yeah.
Just commenting on the Jacksonville-Detroit game. You don't tease that game. Teasers are absolutely worthless in that range. So you don't tease down to the 7. You don't tease down to the 4. Unless you were able to get below the 3, you're just wasting time. So we talk a lot about teasers in general, and an odd situation like that came up, and I just wanted to repeat it here also.
Well, I want to thank you for bringing it up because I feel guilty that I didn't mention the Lions at all today with you standing there staring at me like, when are we going to talk about? Oh, actually, Goff's name came up. Not in the positive. Of Sam Laporta, is he going to be able to go this week?
No, I don't think so.
Really? Okay.
I haven't seen him out, but he wasn't practice. I haven't seen today's stuff.
Got a shoulder injury there. But against Mac Jones, you got no excuses, baby.
Mac and cheese, what?
Yeah. The Jags lead the league with 6 one-score losses. So maybe they're not quite as bad as, that's what Doug Peterson is saying to ownership. Hey, they're all one-score losses. That's not too bad. Can I keep my job? Is he next, guys? Is he on the chopping block within minutes?
At this point, I think you just ride it out during the year.
Yeah. Plus, he's got an excuse now with Trevor Lawrence out. It's like, hey, what do you expect? I got mac and cheese.
Mm-hmm. Do you guys want to talk about the divisional stuff, or you want to go in another direction?
I'd be happy to if you.
Well, let me see if I can bring it up on the share screen thing.
Yeah, if we can't, we can save it because there's some interesting divisional stuff that might have some value if we talk through it a little bit.
Sure. He's going to try and get technical on us here and find the good stuff.
Why is it not letting me share?
By the way, is there 1 or 2 specific divisions that stand out that you want to mention?
Yeah, well, they are in the slides that I did send you.
Well, I like the first slide. I don't know where that was, but I wish I was there.
There's a question in the chat about Detroit Indy on neutral. And the look-ahead line, if you look at it for next week, is Detroit at Indy. Detroit is favored by 7.
That's it.
So, yeah. So we're not that far off. If you give 1.5 points for home field advantage, you're talking 8.5, and that would be my number. Would be roughly 8. But Richardson is a tough read right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the divisions. If you're looking at Washington and Philly, who has the edge with the remaining schedule?
Well, Washington's got some pretty good matchups there for them. And Philly, I give a slight edge to Washington.
Yeah, you should have put these side by side.
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm sorry. You can only do so much on the PowerPoint stuff.
All right, so we got.
I like Washington's schedule, but that they're still dealing with their rookie issues.
So Philly's up by a half a game right now. They have to make up a half a game. If you start by assuming they split the series, then you look at the other games.
They got Dallas twice. Somehow they'll probably just split that.
Probably.
So there's 2 wins, 3 wins.
Tennessee, yep. At New Orleans is a possible win.
They'll get one of these. So they've got 4 wins for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
We're looking probably at between 4 and 5 wins.
Right.
And Philly,
if they win tonight, they're really in good shape.
So if you have between 4 and 5, 4.5, that gives them 11.5. So now let's do the same with Philly, starting by assuming that they split the Washington series.
Right.
Well, they've got 5.
At Baltimore.
You got 5 in that group?
Yeah, I think so. Don't you?
Probably the last 2, then 3, then Carolina
I say
4. Probably 5, yes, because they have a big edge against Pittsburgh in that particular matchup. So you're talking 12 to 11.5 kind of. So Philly has the slight edge in there, and they're roughly about minus 210. You can get Washington anywhere from plus 150 to plus 190.
I don't think I want that.
Okay.
What's the best you can get? You said plus 210 for who?
Minus 210 for Philly is the best.
Minus
you could
210.
get. Yeah,
Okay.
So that's probably not worth it. Is it worth it to get plus 150 to plus 190 for Washington? It sounds like we're talking too close to call in this one.
Yeah, but if Washington wins tonight, that changes everything.
Oh, Baltimore.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah, so look at all those weird dates that they're playing. Monday, Saturday, Wednesday is Christmas Day.
Wednesday. Nothing like a Wednesday night game.
Again, assume a Baltimore-Pittsburgh split because that's pretty much what they do.
Right.
The LA Charger game, the Harbaugh game.
Yeah, that's true.
Monday night. Come back with a Philly team that's not bad on the road. Have a trap game against the New York Giants and close the year out against Cleveland, which they should win against Cleveland to close the year. And at Houston is hard. This is a tough schedule.
Very tough. I think they'll be happy to get the 10 wins.
They may not get 5.
No.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Now, unfortunately for Pittsburgh, they've got the whole division. They got 6 divisional games, and I think they split against Cincy and split against Baltimore. So that's 2-2 right there. And they still have to play at Philly, which has not been good for them. That's a 3rd loss. And then they host Kansas City on a short week. That's not easy either.
No, but it also might not mean anything to Kansas City by then.
It's possible, but it's a standalone game, so you're going to get the best effort.
Yeah, on a Wednesday.
Standalone Wednesday,
tough on Pittsburgh.
I love those traditional.
What do you got there? 2, 4, 6, 8. Is that a 4-4 at best?
I think 5 is going to be very difficult for them.
Exactly.
So we had Baltimore was 7-2. So Baltimore is about minus 200, but it started to go up ever since I put this out. I thought I mentioned to you Tuesday, I think offline, that Baltimore minus 200 actually had value.
Yeah, you did mention that.
Yeah. I may have mentioned it online on Tuesday, and maybe some of our viewers heard that and pushed the line up because I don't think you can get minus 200 right now.
No, those are great great stretches, for the second half of the season for both of those teams, no doubt. We got San Francisco, Seattle here.
Yeah, you can still get -200 on the Ravens.
Okay. What do you think about that then? 2 out of 3 chance. That means you have to believe that it's at least a 2 out of 3 chance that they hold off Pittsburgh.
I don't like the schedule. They might, but I don't like the schedule. They better keep playing well. And their defense better play better.
Yeah, that Houston game's an interesting game. It comes off the Pittsburgh game. You never want to play a tough opponent after playing Pittsburgh, and they have both the Chargers and the Texans off Pittsburgh games.
Right.
I don't know what it is. It's just sort of like you shuffled the cards and you look at it and now you're going to shuffle again because you don't like what you see.
Yeah, these are tough ones. The San Francisco, Seattle. You know what's interesting about the San Francisco, Arizona dynamic is that you could get about +130 to +140 on either team, depending on where you look.
Yeah, but how about the fact that they play each other the last game of the season, and you might be able to maneuver the hell out of that one if you got the right side there.
Yeah, and it will be interesting because San Francisco will be off a short week.
Okay.
And then they'll go on the road.
Yep.
So that's 3 games off platform: Sunday night, Thursday, and a Monday.
Wow. Okay. And what has Seattle got?
No, Arizona we're talking.
I mean, Arizona.
Yeah. So Arizona's played 10 already. They've got 4 road games left.
Right.
Their home game, Seattle, they play Seattle. In the past, Seattle, I still think it's 50-50 that you say it's going to be a split against Seattle.
Right.
I'd rather have, let's take a look at, I see. I'd rather have Seattle, Arizona than San Francisco, I think.
The one caveat in that is that Seattle and the Rams are not out of it. It's unlike the other ones we talked about. It's not necessarily just a 2-team race.
Well, if Seattle wins this week, they're in the middle of it.
Yeah. So you're not necessarily dealing with just head-to-head, and you're worried about, because we're ruling out, when we talk about Philly and Washington, we're ruling out Dallas and the Giants because we know we can rule them out.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like what Arizona's doing right now. We'll see down the stretch if they're capable of getting this thing done. But right now, Kyler Murray's playing the best of his life. Yeah. And he's playing smart, which is really, really good to see. And where's that castle? I want to know where that castle is behind this picture.
You like that?
Yeah, I love it. Where is it?
Is it Italy?
I'm not going to tell you.
Okay.
I don't know, but I see a dinosaur behind that mountain, so I don't know what that is. It looks a little bit like the Amalfi Coast, but I can't tell.
It's food for thought, though, looking at these divisions and stuff like that. And then the other thing to look for is match it up to what the different books have as their season win totals right now and see how that corresponds.
When I comment on this, yesterday it was brought up that Denver changes their turf. And who would that be an advantage for? And I would say, well, that would work against the home team, obviously, because being more familiar is in their benefit. And so Hector's updating us on it that they do that every year, I guess. So it's good.
Interesting.
I don't know. The gardener never returns my calls there, so I have no idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Anything else, guys? By the way, have you touched the in-season over/under totals, win totals?
During the season?
Yeah. Have you done anything at all like that to adjust to what you have had?
I have something in mind that I'm going to be doing. The only thing I did is we'll see how it worked. But thanks to Chris's Bet US show, when his partner in crime mentioned that New England was 6.5 after week 2 or 3, I said that's too high, and I went under 6.5 on New England.
Oh, okay.
You don't think they're going to go over?
Well, I don't have the crystal. 2 weeks ago, they had 2 fewer wins. So what can I tell you? But at the time, it was a really good deal.
And now it's still a reasonably good deal.
Well, the 6.5 is better than the 5.5 right now, which I also have. So, no, I haven't done much. I mean, we're 1 week away from deciding on the colleges what to do and what not to do because we're near the end of the season. But to be honest, there's a couple of negative situations going on in college, but it's still we're hitting roughly about 75%.
Nice. What about you, Chris? Are you happy with the win totals for you this season? Are they going well?
Whatever Ron said, I'm on board with.
He likes the Bear one right now.
Yeah, the Bears looks. I think the Bears are the only one I have in the pros, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really, only one? Wow.
I think so.
I have only 15, so.
And that's actually an only compared to the old days.
No, 15 is about right, but I'm a little down in the colleges. I only have about 46 or 40 or 50 or something.
And the percentage of unders on those are what?
Let's see. I have 11 overs in college.
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah, and I have an unusual number of overs in the NFL,
2.
but some of them are really small. Like my smallest play was Washington over.
All right, so you're going
to
win your
hear your input on New England and the Rams this week.
My input on New England and the Rams. I should like New England in this game, but I'm just scared that the Rams played such a sloppy game on Monday that they're going to refocus. Did you hear Stafford's post-game interview where he said, "I'm so glad we just got to get this taste out of it." He's already on to next week. Right. There's just something about what he said and whatever that might have me off New England. Because I think I'm like you, Chris. The Rams are an incomplete team. And Drake May has a lot of volatility. He's better for New England because he stretches the field. Brissett, you knew exactly how to defend him. I should be on New England, but I'm running scared. That's my.
What about New England's O-line right now? Because the Rams are on a sack fest. 13 sacks in the last 3 games.
New England's O-line is not good.
Right. So that's an issue. Rams also won 5 straight on a short week.
But I need to see how Drake May has fared because maybe the O-line is doing better with Drake May. So give me a second.
Well, I can tell you Drake May leads all rookies in pass TDs against the blitz. I wonder if the Rams will be blitzing him much in this game because of that stat. And by the way, the Rams' O-line is beat up too.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me how Drake May has fared, but I would guess that sacks have been slightly better with Drake May involved as opposed to Brissett.
Right. Definite concern, though, for the Rams O-line. Havenstein and Noteboom didn't practice, both with ankle injuries, so I don't know what their status is. If you lose both of them, you got issues.
Look at this Broncos situation. It's identical to what's going to happen this week.
All right. Well, I'm going to go outside and water the lawn. What can I tell you after this?
Yeah.
Well, guys, what can I say? That's it from me. Week 11. Let's do it. Let's have some fun.
Great games. Thanks for everybody who participated and watched. Subscribe. Buy the products that we don't sell.
Exactly. And, it'll save you a fortune if you buy all of them.
Yeah. It's going to be a great week of football, so enjoy.
See you.